going? How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Busy, stupid.
That's good.
That's good. Was a was a tight start, kickstart last week. So yeah, moving ahead.
Um, cool. Well, if you want, let's kind of dive in and I'll show you kind of where we're at
Let's
with everything.
dive in.
All right. So I will quickly recap. I know it's been a while, so I want to just quickly recap what we did last time. And then I think we should be able to like seal the deal
Cool.
mostly today. So here's the document that I kind of went over. We assess fit checks, discos, and concept calls. And then I had kind of presented a restructuring format for those calls and then mapping them with the kind of closer sales methodology, the framework. And then we also, wait, can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And if you remember correctly, we also kind of mapped out your overall sales process and kind of, what it looks like from A to Z. So what I worked on since we last chatted was kind of re-scripting. So again, you're going to have to go over each of these with your words, your tone, kind of your process, but at least we have a structure that follows the closer framework for each fit check, discovery, and concept call.
Yep.
And then each one of these calls is mapped with like a process flow,
Mhm.
and kind of like the core components of what's happening at each stage. And it's all mapped to the closer framework. And if you notice, each call kind of follows the same kind of sequence flow. So it's intro, discovery, transition, some sort of offer and commitment phase. And so that's that. So any questions on that before we kind of get into the details on each call?
I'm trying to remember what we talked last time. I think last time, as you said, we talked through the scripts. I didn't think that we were able to get through the full document, but yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, yeah, I think we didn't go through the scripts last time, but that's
No,
fine. Yeah.
no.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Scripts is
Okay.
actually what I worked on. The scripts is actually what I worked on since last time we spoke. I think we got to here, and
Yeah.
I wanted to make
Perfect.
sure that you felt comfortable mapping it. And so then I said, okay, cool. We feel good.
Yeah.
Let's kind of
Great.
build out the scripts.
Thanks. Now I'm now I'm back up to speed.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if we look at, so I think this will be good to kind of go piece by piece. So if we look at fit check, so we zoom out a little bit, we're here, under fit check. And I don't think you really need to change much on this other than doing a little bit more discovery on the fit check. So, nice to meet you, brief rapport, clarify where they came in from. Was it cold email? Was it LinkedIn? Why they said yes to the meeting. And then boom, let's get started. Frame, goal of the call is simple, explain the podcast, make sure you're a strong fit. If so, pick a topic and that's useful for your audience, and then lock in recording slot. Yeah. And then you kind of during this clarify section. So then we go here to clarify. So identify their company, their role, what responsibilities they own, and what's the main change or initiative that's on their plate right now, so that you can internally label them with a lead score A, B, or C.
Exactly. That was one of the big changes you proposed to label them up front already. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, start to identify. And that way if somebody is like an A, you're like, okay, these are, you know, prime, like I want to get them on the podcast. I see potential to work together. B is maybe just podcast, and C might be totally disqualified. If they're like not the right avatar, you don't see opportunity to work together, then maybe push them to the side. Um, Okay, so then here we are in the overview. So you're basically um, overview of the podcast and then co-create the episode angle. I think this is what you're doing already on the fit checks, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that shouldn't be much change needed there, I don't think. Basically, if we press record, what story or experience would be interesting and, concrete enough that others would learn from it. If they're too vague, then you can kind of prompt them a little bit.
This is really cool.
Cool. And then, if you're to draft an episode, you could and I think you did this on one of the calls where you're like, hey, we could talk about this, this, and this. Cool. So you guys are basically co-creating the episode together. And then here, at that point, you're pretty firm. Like you've already qualified them in your head. You're like, okay, these guys make sense. I want to have them on the show, and then do a little soft sell. Soft sell is like, hey, by the way, a lot of guests who are in the middle of a big change project end up asking for a separate session after we record the podcast where we go deeper on their specific situation. If after the podcast it feels useful, we can do the same. No pressure. Just wanted to put it on your radar. So that's just kind of like a little
this small drop saying, hey, it's a nugget, right? There's still the podcast ahead, but they have heard it already.
Yeah, they're starting to and if they ask anything, like, hey, if they ask any questions, very simple, 30 minutes, we focus on your situation, no recording, no slides. We just identify areas where we can help. So this is only if they ask, right? And then we go into explain and
framed, right? I'm still what you write there is nicely framed, right? So let's see if I can help. If not, you still get an external view, right? So that in itself is a nice statement, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Sorry.
And then
I stop interrupting.
No. Well, please do. Sometimes I just keep on going. So no, please. I want you to like really, and soak it all in and really embrace and any questions as well. So then next is explain and reinforce. So lock in the recording time if you can do it, and explain kind of, where it's at, Riverside. And then I usually try to get people to accept the invite on the call. If anything changes, let me know. And then a quick recap.
So you would send the invite out during the call?
Yeah. So if you can book it right then and there, if you have time, just book, find a time, coordinate, book it right then and there, get them to lock it in.
Yeah,
it's going to save you time and energy from having to do that in the future, and that's a lot of back and forth. So unless for whatever reason they can't do it on the call, or if they're unsure, or if like they don't know what their schedule is, then obviously, you got to leave the call and maybe communicate via email. But if you can book it on the call, like at least I always do.
For the 50 minutes, I normally also do it to get into the podcast. In the other ones, I sometimes don't do it because I'm running out of time, because I'm talking too much, right? So the script will also hopefully help me to like be more strict and then like also stop talking at the right moment. Okay, good. Yeah, cool.
So that's fit check.
Nice.
And then this takes us into discovery call. So there's a podcast in between here.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, I don't know, would it be helpful if you had it here, podcast somewhere?
Yeah, maybe make a point, because there's like at the end of the podcast, there's this one liner where I drop, hey, I've done this in the past. I know I can help you. Would it be worth jumping for another call? So there's like a small script I'm always having at the end of the podcast. I think at least for the visualization would be cool to have to see there's the podcast in between.
Yeah. And then well, we're basically, and then we can add that script here. But
I mean, it's a standard thing I say. So that just for this visualization as a reminder, there's like after the podcast, there's this one line in order to book the Discord. Right? So that exactly. Good, fine. That's a good, cool.
something like this. Well,
Now it's perfect.
there we go. Okay. So now we go into Disco. So, and then here I have kind of an outline of this document. So open frame, kind of set the agenda. And then we're going to clarify, so more detail on the company context, their role, their power, current pain, the cost of the problem, and then label these. I'm gonna go through each one of these sections real quick. So frame an agenda, get to see you again, blah, blah, blah. Goal for today is just to try to understand what you're trying to achieve, what's in the way or what's the challenge, and decide if it makes sense to build a concrete plan or would you want to say concept maybe?
Concept.
Build a concept
I think
for you. And if it does, we'll book a second call. We'll walk through that concept. Timeline, investment, all of that. So always, if you notice in the frame, we position the cell and then we diffuse the sales pressure. So it's always like, hey, walk you through the concept, timeline, investment, all that. If it doesn't make sense, no worries. Like you get the clarity. So we're always like positioning the cell, diffuse. And then we want to get agreement from them on the agenda, right? Does that work for you? Does that make sense? Is that cool? Yes. All right, perfect. Boom, we go into kind of discovery. And so here we're trying to clarify situation, role, the problem. So you already have some context on the company, but if you need more questions or you need to get more detailed, I think here is a good opportunity to get that. And then understanding the prospect, like their role, their authority, their power, like what is their responsibility. And then here also getting an idea of, when you bring in external partners from this kind of work, like where do you stand in that process, right? So we're trying to.
That's something I'm not doing. So, and that's important there.
Yeah, really. So we want to understand who you're talking to, what their role is and what their power is, because maybe they're not the person that we need on the call, right? Like maybe we need to be talking to somebody else. Current pain. So, what's the hardest part about the strategy, running, agile, whatever
it is, right?
Yeah, whatever this is. Where do things get stuck most often? Is it at the leadership level? Is it middle? Is it with the teams? What have you already tried to fix this? What worked a bit? What kind of worked? What didn't work? So it's a little bit more discovery. And then cost of the problem, because isn't it working? What does that cost you right now? So is it time? Is it business impact? Is it revenue? Like what is the actual deeper cost of the problem? So this is basically discovery, right? Boom, boom, boom. We go here and then we are then labeling these challenges. So we label, let me play it back to you, or let me explain what I understood from what you said. The issue is this. And because of that, you're paying, or because of that, the cost of that is this.
Yep.
Did I get that right? And of course they're like, oh no, you got it. They're like, oh yeah, also this, and this. All right, cool. More ammunition. So that's label. Then we go to overview. So really we're trying to understand the goal, the decision process, approval path, if there's any other decision makers, if there's any budget constraints. The overview future state. So what does it look like in the next 12, 18, 24, whatever time frame, right? What does the future look like for the business, for the leaders, and for the person personally? If you decide to invest, what would have to be true objectively for you to look back and be like, hey, this was absolutely worth it? So we're trying to just get an idea of what success criteria is for them,
It says
and
look
what it
like
looks
for
like.
them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then last piece before we talk about what you might recommend, what I might recommend is when you bring somebody to help with this kind of work, what does the approval path typically look like? Who else needs to say yes? Are there budget constraints that I should know about so I don't design something that's unrealistic? So this is going to be a little bit more of decision makers and budget and a little bit of timing, right? So you can get a better idea of what that path looks like. Cool. Questions on overview, goals, feature state, buying criteria.
I think I need to see the whole process right now, because I'm spending typically a really long time in the clarification, in understanding the pain and so on.
Yeah.
I think I really need to try this a couple of times to like see how much time I should spend for each, so that it's not like only a sales call. So there's a big portion also for the client should be the discovery and like letting them talk about them, right? I mean, that's psychologically the best thing to do is like having them talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
good.
All of this basically on a sales call up until this point, this should all be them talking. Like we should be
Like,
asking very,
yeah,
very pointed, specific questions and then them then speaking.
cool.
So then usually right around here, right around the sale is when it kind of changes. Now you're taking back the floor and so we're selling the next steps, right? So based off of your discovery, you know, you're dealing with this and this. That's exactly what I do. I might be able to help you. The next step, if you want, would be I go away, I map out a concept plan for the next time frame with XYZ specific areas, focus, milestones, investment. And then on the next call, I'll walk you through it. And at the end, we decide either yes, it makes sense to start, or no, maybe not the right fit for right now. And then we're asking them if, if I put this together, would it make sense for you? Is this something that you'd want to explore? And we really want to try to get their verbal yes from this. Like, yeah, please. Like, I'd love to do this. I'd love to see that. Questions on this piece?
So this is again like mirroring back. That's what I understood. That's what you're dealing with. And then showing like the standard work I will do. I go back, I make my magic in the background, and in the next one, I'm showing them the concept. That's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Paraphrasing, reflecting, getting the yes, you got that correctly, and then
Yep.
that's the next step I do. Okay, good.
Yeah. So then you're basically selling the concept call, right? We're not trying to sell the program or the solution just yet. We just want to sell the next call. We want to get them to say yes, and then explain, design, decision path, and bam, fam. So make sure that the next call is useful to avoid another round of back and forth. Who else needs to be on that call if the plan makes sense so you can realistically move forward? What is a realistic timeline on your side for deciding yes or no? If they mention, hey, we need a CFO, we need a CTO, we need this person. Um, and then we want to try to design the next call so that we can get those people on it so you can present the solution all together. So this, I think, is a little bit different than what you're doing currently, right?
Yes. But it would take so much pain away, right? I mean, if the answer is I can't decide it and the other person won't do it and I know it, then I mean, it's, I don't have to spend more time into this, right? If they say, yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds super cool, but the CFO is busy, I'm not even getting hold of it, right? He needs to decide it, then yeah, it's done. Right? Then there's no, I can still try to nurture and try to recover some, but then the process stops, right?
Yeah.
From your experience, I mean, that's something I really need to try out. I think it makes sense because it's fair also for the other person. Right? Just to be fair, also to respect your time, right? We should. I mean, it's nice having a chat, but it's not both of us are playing forward, right? So if you want to progress, who's the next guy? Like, say that person says we need the CFO in there, right? In the next call, maybe you're coming to that.
Mhm.
I've never talked to the CFO before.
Mhm.
Would I still then like present like, hey, here's my solution? Because when discussing with Jean-Michel, he told me, no, that's basically then a new Discord because you don't know that person. You need to like reiterate what really the problem is and so on. So maybe we park that question for now and go through the script again. But that's what I want to ask you is like, what would that look like then? I
Yeah.
park it for later.
You're like 2 steps ahead. We'll
Yeah,
definitely get there. Yeah.
that's my brain. I'll get used to it. So
Um, yeah.
okay, good. So
So
explain.
any objections that you have, usually any objections that they have will come out here. And so we're explaining away the objections in this section, right? Like if if they're like, it doesn't make sense bring the CFO on, but he's part of the decision process. I'm like, well, why doesn't it make sense? Help me understand. Is there, you know what I mean? So this is our opportunity to cover the objections. And then we
All
reinforce.
right. Okay. Right. So let me understand why we need the CFO. Like, what's the process behind? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
So it gives you a little opportunity to work through those in a low pressure environment before you have made an offer and there's money and now it's like a high I don't want to say high pressure, but it's a sales conversation, right? Here we can start to understand the objections before to understand like what is that person's role, you know, what are they doing? So this is explain, reinforce. Okay, cool, makes sense. Bam fam, and reinforce expectations. So hey, on the next call, I'll walk you through the concept, the milestones, investment. At the end, we'll decide if, you know, it makes sense or not. All good? Yep. Anything else you think I should know? No. And then, you know, if they need to send you anything, you can, you know, get those whatever details that you might need. But basically locking in the call. So I would try to book the call. I would try to book the call then and there if you have the ability to do so. Again, timing, right? I know the challenge with timing and whatnot, but as long as we're like really focused on trying to get this call locked in, that way you're not playing chasing people around trying to get that call booked.
Yeah. So at that stage, like when they see, hey, that's cool, it wasn't tough to get into the next call for a concept, right?
Mhm.
But now, as we talked last time, these scripts are more salesy, right? So they've much more like, hey, this is what it's in the end. At the same time, yes, we are business people, right? So every transaction when two companies work together is kind of a sales process, right? So
Yeah.
I think I was like dancing too far away from that instead of saying, hey, yeah, I mean, sure, at this moment, we are starting a sales process and it's not just a podcast anymore, right? Without saying
Yeah.
that, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Cool. Yeah.
and I think, Marcus, there's the script and the process and like the firm sales components, but then there's also your style and how you say things, so you can find a medium, a happy medium in between so that you feel comfortable, but you're also positioning and focusing on the sale.
Yeah. And I mean, as you mentioned, it'll pay off once the price drops in the sense that, yeah, I mean, I've told you like 3-4 times that now it's a sales process, right? I'm going to offer something to you. It's like no surprise. So,
Yeah.
okay, good.
And I think the cool thing is like at every step, you're waiting for them to say yes. So it's not like you're forcing them through a sales process. You're giving them the option, right? Like, does that work for you? Yes. Like we're waiting for that. Yes. Um, the label, did that make sense? Am I missing something? Like we're getting their feedback at almost every stage, right? Here, does it make sense? To chat to the next call. Um, so it's like they know it's a sales process, but they're actively making the choice to go down that path because you give them the option, yes or no.
I was just looking for a book because I had a quote in mind, but good. Good. Yeah. Go ahead.
Cool. Okay.
Yes. Explicitly, yes.
There you go. Shall we continue? You tell me.
Yes.
Um, so then here, I think this is kind of behind the scenes. It's like you're making a decision on which path that you're going down with these guys. Are they lean? Are they agile? Is it more leadership? So I think that there's a process that you'll do internally to determine what you're presenting to them based off of the discovery, correct?
Yep. So there's like, I don't know, Jean-Michel would maybe hate me because there's 3 different topics. He says there's one product and different labels, but in the end, right? So I'm checking, is it a leadership topic? Is it agile? Is it lean? Is it something else? So there's a decision behind. And then I basically have, let's say, 2.5, 3 products that I then would offer with the respective cover on it, right? So it's light levels is one topic, Kanban is another topic, and the third one would be like leadership training, basically, in a nutshell.
Cool.
And
Okay.
that's the decision I'm making, right? So what's the product I'm going to offer or service?
Yep. Yep. And so then we're coming back here to concept call. And we start again at the top. Everything starts with an open, a frame. So here is the concept. And then I think you'll have your deck. You'll have prepared your deck already. Like you'll have discovery notes. You'll have the deck, all of this stuff. We mentioned the ROI math, so very simple ROI, so we can start to frame price anchor, sorry. So then, boom, start up with open intro. Good to see you again, whatever small talk. Before we dive in, any new decision makers role, you want to introduce any new decision makers. So if there's anybody else from over here, from decision makers, we want to introduce them and understand the roles and responsibilities.
Okay, so this is like the personal introduction. Hey, I'm Mike. I'm the CFO.
Yep. And then I like to understand, their responsibilities, like kind of what they do and where their role and their responsibilities. So it's going to give me an idea of like, is this person someone that I'm going to have to like win over, or is he kind of here just to because he's part of the process. Like I want to understand where he stands. And then we set the goal for the call or the frame, walk you through concept to solve a key issue, the milestones, investment. At the end, we'll decide, if it makes sense to start or no, not the right move. No pressure either way. We're just looking for a clear next step. Does that work for everyone?
Again,
And then
aiming for the call. Yeah.
Yep. So we're waiting for everybody on the call to be in agreement. So everybody should, and I'll wait for everybody. Does that make sense, John? Cool with that? Boom, cool with that? Yeah. All right, cool. Let's keep on moving. And then I like to check, has there been anything major that changed since we last spoke? And here you can also check with the decision maker, DM, if you feel like it's necessary, doing a quick discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you a little bit to go through, which will kind of get everybody back in the head frame of what happened on the last call. Now we're here on clarify. So we did open, we introduce any new decision makers, we frame the call, we get agreement from everybody. Boom, now we're moving on to clarify. So we want to identify any changes, and then we want to recap the discovery from the last call.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're already doing this pretty well based off of the concept calls that you shared. So brief recap, let me know if this is accurate. And this is also a good opportunity to ask any new people on the call, hey, does this feel aligned? Does this make sense? Is there anything you would add to this? That we can kind of backtrack without having to fully backtrack. We just get them to be like, yep. Or, oh, I would add this.
So does it fit? Is it also your understanding? Yeah, good. Cool.
So again, is that still an accurate picture? Did I miss something important? And then we want to also ask other DMs. So let them correct, or maybe they're like, oh, you're spot on, you nailed it. So the real issue, so now we're labeling or relabeling, which you've kind of already done, but we want to put into like one concrete label. So essentially this is the challenge that you guys are having. This is the problem, whatever it is. If we don't fix that, nothing else is going to work. Does that make sense? Did everybody agree? Yep. Cool. All right. Now we're going into overview. So now this is where we're kind of getting into the sales presentation.
So for now, I had like the reflection and showing the discovery results. I had this as part of the presentation. That would still be fine, or would you do that verbally?
I think you could present it, this part, you could present it, but I would, in my mind, I would separate reflection of the discovery and sales. So if you wanted to share your screen, if you have a deck and you have that on there, I think that's fine. But I would still kind of separate them, and we always want to get them. We want to get their agreement. So here, overview with that in mind, I can walk through everything.
So that means it could still be in the presentation, but I'm like, let me show you the results of the discovery just to be on one page, like showing that, sharing, then taking the screen share away and saying, okay, does it resonate? And then bringing up the next slide saying, now we are jumping into sales. So this would be like a real separation, also on the call, so that it's not just one flood of slides, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here
Cool.
is again where this is what I like to call like the invitation to pitch. All right. So wrap up discovery with that in mind. I can walk you guys through the concept that I'm proposing. If you guys like, let me know. If they say yes, then all right, cool. Boom. Now they gave you permission to pitch them, right? So I think this invitation to pitch is really key to make it not feel salesy. Because again, they're choosing, we're giving them the option. Hey, if you guys want, I can walk you through it. Yes or no. They say yes. All right, cool. Boom. Slide back up. And then high level promise and in one or two sentences, very clean. Here's at a very high level what we want to achieve. And then break it into your pillars. So pillar 1, whatever that is. And then you explain the pillars and then tie down. What questions do you guys have here? So we all want to invite dialogue. We want them to ask the questions. And if there's questions, then obviously want to address them here before we move on. If not, pillar 2, and this is just like an example, right? So I think we'll have to kind of tweak the text, but just an example here is like, here's what we do on pillar 1. Cool. Next is pillar 2. Here's what we do. Here's the second thing that we do. Here's why it's important. What questions you guys have here? Again, opening the floor for questions. We want this to be more of a Socratic back and forth dialogue, right? Pillar 3, what questions do we have? And usually if you're doing 3 or 4 pillars, or depending on how you're breaking up the program and presenting it, I'll do pillar 1 questions, pillar 2 questions, pillar 3 full system questions, right? Because I want to tie down the full system here. Like if there's questions just on this, like, yeah, we want to get them, but I want to make sure that they have a full understanding of everything.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense.
So on the overview, we're going overview.
Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. That's what I reduced thanks to JM. So in the beginning it was way too much. Now it's like 2 or max 3 steps. Hey, I'm learning, right?
Yeah.
But it's good. Yeah, good.
So on the overview, we're basically going high level promise, pillars, delivery, implementation, timeline. And the last thing is a temperature check. So we'll do next piece is delivery. So like whatever your timeline looks like, what the support looks like, what the implementation looks like, and then temp check. For us, the most important thing is alignment. Before we move on, do you feel like this is the right solution for you? And we want to wait for a response from everyone on the call. Or we're going to ask everyone. And depending on how salesy you want to get, you could also do, here's an option, like the temp check 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. That one I like to do, but for some people it feels very salesy. So I think this is optional. But this piece, like we want to make sure that they feel like this is the right thing for them. And if there's any objections, I want them to come out here before I talk about money.
Question. The next piece, delivery and implementation, like time is one implementation, this would be like the how I'm going to solve the problem, right? So you're getting X, Y, Z for me. I'm coming, I don't know, 5 days, you get that license, blah, 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 blah. So this would be my product, my service there. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, so it's 6 months, I'll come in, or it's a 12-month program or 12 months, I'll come in once a month, do this in person, blah, blah, blah. Like, so yeah, exactly.
Good.
Then we do temp check. And so here we're listening for tonality, certainty, conviction? Do they feel convicted? Do they feel confident in their responses? Or is it like a little uneasy? Or they're like, if they're saying words like, I'm not sure, I think, oh, it could work, like those kind of vague, uncertain terms, we really want them to come out here and we want to identify, we want to attack them, because those essentially are the objections that they're going to have once we involve price and money.
So once they pop up here, you would like ask, right? You sound hesitant. What's on your mind? Or you said, maybe it doesn't sound so convinced to me. So what's up? So you would like try to get the answers.
Yeah.
Would you also try to solve them at that moment?
Well,
Because,
yeah,
I mean,
because
no.
if you don't solve them here, these Mosi calls these obstacles before price, and after price, they're objections. So obstacles, we want to try and steer around. We want to identify them. We want to say why they're not really an obstacle and how your problem or how your solution solved that problem. So as much as possible, you want to try to do this here. It's going to save you a lot of effort after. Cool.
Yep. Cool.
All right. So explain. So sell, ROI, price anchor, and then investment. So now, before we're talking about investment, I want to connect this to numbers because otherwise it's just theory. So now you're basically showing the ROI piece. So this could be on your slide as well. And then also what we're doing here is we're price anchoring, right? So we're saying the ROI, the potential ROI doing this, and high dollar figure number, so that when you present your highest program price, it feels low. Cool. The next step would be the investment. Should we chat through that again? Yes or no? Right. So, yep, investment. All right, cool. So the structure is simple. We work on this you'll have to tweak, but essentially it's like, here's the investment, here's what it is. Very short, very simple.
If there's a no, then you stop. Say, okay, fine. Or like,
Yes. Yeah. If there's a no here, then I mean, I want to understand why.
Sure.
So, but I'm not gonna force a price drop if they're like, nah, we don't think this is a fit for us, or nah, it doesn't, like very rarely do you get a no just because most people are curious what the price is. But I have gotten it around here before where they're like, yeah, you know what? This isn't the right fit for us.
But then you also wouldn't drop the price. Say, okay, fair enough. Understood why. You explained to me. Okay, I get it. Thank you very much. Like a nice exit then.
Yeah. Yep.
Good. Cool.
So then ROI, price anchor, boom, investment drop. So the investment, the way we structure is simple, boom, we drop the investment, and then we're just waiting for them.
You're again asking, is it in the realm of the possible, right?
Yeah.
Totally off. Okay.
Yeah. So given the size, the upside, did that feel within the realm of what you were expecting? Or are we totally off? And then we're just waiting for them. Again, tweak this into your words so it feels natural and it's something that you would say, but like really in this phase, we just want to give them the investment and we want to kind of put the ball into their court. Now we're under explain. So essentially it's objections, or if we need to map out internal approval, depending on how this goes up the corporate ladder. So if they say it seems reasonable, but we're trying to understand, is it budget? Is it timing? Is there internal alignment issue? We're trying to identify and isolate the core objection or what's blocking. If they're mostly on board, but it's like, hey, we need this person or this person or this person involved, then you can understand like the decision path for that. Like, hey, let's give this person a call. I'll do a shorter version of this for them. I'll answer their specific questions, and either they're on board or we figure out what's missing. But ideally, we're designing the decision path, so we're trying to identify who's that person and can we get them on a call. And then if they're ready to roll, then you reinforce that. You covered all the things. Move forward. How do you want to move forward with this? Whatever your paperwork is, kickoff date, try and lock it in. So always bam, bam.
Okay, so
Or
a short paperwork and then do the formal offer.
yeah, so depending this, I think you have to tweak based off of your process, because I know you guys are booking the kickoff call, and then like whatever paperwork has to be done, I usually like to let them know. All right, so the next steps are we'll do the agreement or paperwork, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then book a kickoff date. But if you can get something penciled in, like, all right, assuming everything was forward, like what do we want to shoot for kickoff date? Get that mapped out. Once the agreement is signed, we do proper kickoff schedule, whatever the things are that you need to do. Any questions? Nope. Okay, cool. Boom. If they need internal approval, then it's like, hey, totally understand. Let's do this. I'll send you a summary. You share it with whoever needs to, and then we meet with them on this time frame. And we get that.
Questions, huh?
Yeah. Can we get that on the calendar? And so then you try to bam fam. And at that point, like you're basically in decision-making territory. So that puts you here. Either we close or we bam fam. So reinforce, next steps, bam fam. So that's overall sales process.
Woohoo! That's awesome.
Questions?
Overwhelming. I love it. Because I can tell you why. Every disco feels like so much focus for me, and I really need to like concentrate and doing the work. Every like concept call feels like, hey, I really need to focus on what's going on. And the script takes that away, right? So it's like, okay, next step. What's the next question? Okay, got an answer. Good enough. Yeah, next question, right? So this takes the mental brain power away, so that I don't need to focus on the mechanics of it, right? Super cool. Super cool.
And you if you notice, it's like the same thing on every call. We want to make it very structured, but not feel structured.
What I liked and what I haven't seen in that way before is that when I did that with Jean-Michel, we said from closer, CLO is like disco and SARE is the sales call, right? But the way you presented, every call has also a sales and like iteration process, right? But you're selling the next state.
Yep.
I think that's a more standardized way, because then every call follows the same process. It's like even the 50 minutes call has a reframing and like strengthening in the end. It's like always the same, right? Cool.
All right.
We're happy. I'm super happy.
All right. I'm happy. So you have access to both of those documents, correct?
I should have, but let me. So I have access So I'm just opening sales script analysis and restructure.
Yep. That's it.
That's the Google document. And I have access to the Lucid app. Yeah.
End to end.
Loading. Yes, I have it. It's end-to-end sales process flow. Wertwanne sales process flow, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It's been fun. It's really cool to work on this. So let me know if you have any questions as you kind of go through it, or if you implement. I'm here to support.
Awesome. Yeah, I for sure will I will now do this in German, right? Translate it,
Yeah.
give it my own words. I also see points where I could add things or change things, adapt things, just for the specific word. But yeah, hey, this is super cool, right? I'm glad we went through this process.
All right. Cool. That makes me happy.
Cool. Hey, Chris, thanks video. It was awesome.
Likewise.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, Marcus.